Craft beer, margaritas, mojitos, pina coladas have all made it on several lists of Florida's top beverages. But can you guess what's not on the list? Carbonated wine or sparkling wine. Some may argue the cool, bubbly beverage should be on the list. In 2019, the sparkling wine market saw a 4% increase in the United States, and it's supposed to continue to grow over the next several years. Now, Florida wineries are no stranger to the sparkling wine market. Gene Burgess is the Vice President and Director of Winemaking Operations at Lake Ridge Winery in Claremont, Florida. The winery started producing sparkling wine nearly 30 years ago, and it uses Florida's native grape, the muscadine.
Every year, it's continued to grow the volume to the point where we tried to increase the price to slow it down, but it didn't slow it down. Very labor intensive, and it's very limited what we can do because it takes an enormous amount of space and time.
Food scientists at the University of Florida Institute in Food and Agricultural Sciences are researching how to produce carbonated wine in a fraction of the time.
I show winemakers how to do it when they come visit the lab.
Dr. McIntosh actually carbonated some of our juice just to see what it would be like.
And what was it like?
Well, juice is very sweet. And even a lot of juices, I'll cut them in half because they're just too sweet for me.
Yeah.
The carbonation helps to cut some of that sweetness so it's not perceived as sweet. It gives that, it's kind of a, that tingle on your tongue that just counterbalances some of the sugar. So I think it's a great treatment myself.
What we're doing with this latest project is we're taking the winemaker's wine, carbonating it in about an hour, and giving it back to them and saying, let's try it at different levels of carbonation. Then we're going to run it through a bunch of sensory panels. So one of the big things we do here at UF is sensory. We get 100 students and faculty and staff to try different levels of carbonation, say, I like this one, or I like this one. And then we can take that to the winemakers and go, okay, well, your wine seemed to score best here. And that's great for the winemakers. And from a scientific perspective, I want to know Florida wine. In Florida, we generally only produce muscadine grapes. It's the only grape that really grows well in Florida. And it's not super common outside of Florida. So the science part that I want to know is, okay, A, does muscadine wine taste good carbonated? And if so, what levels are preferred for this type of wine? Being that it's a unique Florida wine for Florida, we're going to have our own take, and we haven't done this research before to show that this is the level that we should be carbonating for. And as part of the grant, I wanted to do some education, which is why we're grabbing the winemakers, bringing them in, working with their wine, and teaching them how to implement it.
Let's go on a tour and tell me what we're looking at.
So these guys here are just big pressure vessels. They're just holding vessels, and inside there's a carbonation stone, and this is how we can carbonate a couple hundred liters at a time. We generally don't do this for the brewer or the wineries on account of they don't want to donate a couple hundred liters of wine. But this is how I teach students how to carbonate. We make basically a LaCroix or a bubbly water with some flavor essences in it. That's a phenomenal lab. Students love that because they get to pick out what flavors they want, they acidify it, and they choose how much sugar or not to put into it.
Now, is carbonated wine growing in popularity across the United States or the world for that matter?
It's the fastest growing wine segment. So all wine is growing in market share, but sparkling wine is the fastest growing segment out there, especially among the younger generation.
And because Florida's muscadine grape is sweet, winemakers suggest pairing it with various decadent treats.
We usually recommend it with like fruits that are dipped in chocolate. They're good with cheese because the carbonation kind of cuts the butter fat of cheese. So cheese is always a good option, but I prefer it with strawberries dipped in chocolate. It's great with any kind of chocolate. So it's kind of a dessert wine, if you will, to be enjoyed with chocolate anything.
Okay. Are you getting at least closer now that you're working with Dr. McIntosh? Are you getting closer to where you're like, maybe we can make this for the masses?
He was doing the groundwork to find out, how do you do it? What's the proper level? What do people, what does the marketplace think? When you do these sensory panels, would they buy it over, a highly sparkling wine Would they buy it over a still wine? Where's the preference? He's done some of the preference sensory evaluations, and it's interesting because most people are saying they would prefer a little carbonation to a still wine.